Good afternoon, everyone. Brian Fisher of Fisherfast. We're outside on an extremely hot summer day. It's about 92 degree air temp and 71 degree dew point. It feels like I'm in the tropics here. And we're actually waiting on a line of strong thunderstorms coming through the area in the next 20 to 30 minutes. So I'm going to try to make this video brief. But I just wanted to show you guys this newly acquired SL and walk you around it and get your opinion on which direction I should head with on this vehicle. So this is a 2004 Mercedes SL55 AMG. The car has done approximately 40,000 original miles. It's had 2 previous owners. It's never had any accident history. Has a clean Carfax, clean title, and all that good stuff. And it's never been smoked in, to my knowledge. It is 100% stock, right down to the AMG spec air filters. And they said it's all stock on this car. I checked the tune on it as well. It's not modified. So this is a very nice example in the way that I like to buy the cars prior to starting my modification and kind of build process on them. That way I'm not buying someone else's project that they may have started and it didn't work out right. I'm fixing a lot of their problems. So I was starting to get a maintenance list going for this car, and I already got about 1.5 pages of stuff that I feel needs to be done to the car to get it back up to 100% operating condition. And you may say, well, the car's only got 40,000 miles. How in the hell do you got 1.5 pages of stuff to do on a car already? And that's just from me being around this platform and the car in general, for the last 10 years. Just by me getting into the car and driving it, I can feel the way it drives, the way it responds, the way it sounds, and automatically in my head go, all right, the car needs this to get it back, to be 100% operating condition and feel like it did when it came out of the showroom. Little stuff like engine mounts, transmission mounts, spark plugs, air filters, driveline fluids, brakes, suspension accumulators, valve block rebuilds, stuff like that. To where the normal person would just get into this car that having never driven one of these before and say, yeah, the car drives, it stops and goes, it looks nice, there's nothing wrong with this. On the surface that's true, but that's kind of the problem I've been seeing recently come up, is people buying these low mileage cars expecting them to be perfect right out of the get-go. And then I see them coming up on, like enthusiast forums, MB World, or some of the Facebook groups that I'm in. And they say, well, I just bought this car, 30,000 original miles. I'm happy to be here, et cetera, et cetera. I was having an ABC light, come up. I took it to the dealership. They told me it needs $4,700 worth of work just to the suspension to get it back up to snuff. Does this seem like a good price? Should I put that money into it? Should I convert it to coilovers? And that's really the crux of this car. It's become so affordable to everybody that they don't realize just because the car is affordable to buy off the bat, it doesn't make the parts any cheaper. It doesn't make the labors any cheaper. You're still paying for parts that were designed and built and sold for $120,000 car, whether it was back in 2004 or you're doing it in 2021. And those parts and that labor is extremely expensive. It's a very complicated car. It's very computerized. You really have to have the special equipment to know it's, to diagnose stuff and to do actuations and testing on the vehicle. You have to have a extremely broad knowledge base as well whenever you're working on and fixing these cars. And like I said, that stuff doesn't come cheap. And that's why I put the money and thought into these cars whenever I'm doing the maintenance on them, that it may not necessarily facilitate a repair immediately, but I know that a few thousand miles on the road, 10,000 miles on the road, whatever, that these parts are going to need replaced and will probably cause issues for the next owner. So that's why I replace everything that I've experienced and gathered over the years of owning these cars, and that's why I do a laundry list of maintenance on the car and go through it front to back mechanically to make sure that it's going to be problem free, for a long time, aside from normal stuff like oil changes and tires that you have to do as they wear out, as you'd expect on any vehicle. So some of the big stuff, the brake pads, brake rotors, suspension accumulators, like I said, mentioned before, the valve block rebuild so that the car doesn't sag, spark plugs, all drive line fluids, engine air filters. This isn't a necessarily expensive item, but the one that always fails and they're always weak on these cars, the coolant pump that circulates the fluid for the supercharger, the cooling system, is located behind this grill up in this area right here, and that is always very weak, and you can replace that with a new pump, and it brings the power back up on the car immediately. Some cosmetic stuff, the front bumper I'm going to be repainting. As somebody did have a front plate here at one point in time, put two nice holes in the front bumper, but I have a very good body shop. Shout out to Fran at Diorio's Auto Body in Homestead. They do all my paint work for me. It's lovely guys to work with. So that's going to be done, fully detailed. Probably do a ceramic coating on this car or wax, depending on what the customer wants as well. And like I said, the maintenance is going to be done. The detailing is going to be done regardless of which direction I go with on this car. And that was the other half of this video that I just wanted to quickly discuss. While we're inside here, you can just check out the interior on this car. It's extremely nice. The leather is all in good shape, hardly any wear on anything. And most of the time when I get these cars, the leather is very dry and worn out. This one's still very supple. They're usually like cardboard from just being dried out in the sun. Take a look on the driver's side. Very nice over here as well. So like I said, that was on the other half of that. I'm either going to do a full-on build on this car like I have been doing for the other few cars you've seen uploaded here on YouTube that I've done recently, or the other option is to restore this car back to its original showroom condition, make it 100% stock with all original parts, and go that route. So if I could consign a build prior to doing either one of these, that would be ideal, as that's a fun process for both myself and the customer, where I can provide them with like bi-weekly updates with pictures and videos of what I'm doing with the car, with the engine torn apart, the exhaust building, the welding, and it can be a part of the process with the design as well. Some of the stuff like the brake caliper colors, brake pad choice. You want it to be more aggressive. You want it to have less brake dust. The wheel design, the wheel color. Some of the other stuff like the fins I've been painting, like the fin colors on here, on the door handle, on the front grille, the headlights. Yeah, it's just a fun process, so you get to be a part of that from start to finish, see where the car is at currently to where it ends up 3 months down the road, whenever it's fully built and ready to be turned over to the new customer. And I can do that same process as well with the other option of restoring the car. So that's also would be fun as well. Let's take a look under the hood real quick. It's kind of weird seeing this because I haven't seen a stock engine in quite a while. I'm used to seeing all my carbon intakes and pretty and fancy colors underneath, all the polished aluminum and that good stuff. But there is still something beautiful about a stock engine. There's nothing wrong with it, and with all these engine covers and stuff, it still looks pretty cool even today. As all the newer cars are just completely covered with black plastic, you can't see anything on there. A couple of the design, I was actually talking to a friend that now I consider in Rhode Island. Shout out to Mark. and he was bringing to my attention, these cars are, great whenever they're done, perform well, all that good stuff. But they're missing just a little bit of that uniqueness, something that makes you feel like, or I should say, that you're in something special. And what that has to do with is kind of the branding on it. And we're throwing around a couple ideas. What can we do or what can I do to make these cars feel that little bit more special? And whenever you look at a car like that was done by Rentec or Brabus, is to throw out a couple big names, they have their branding, their logo either above like the compressor badge here or on the rear deck lid. And even Mercedes does some stuff like the Silver Arrow cars, the SL5500s. They put a little plaque in here to let you know that you're in Silver Arrow edition, and they number it 1 out of 500, etc. So I was thinking about working with a company to get some high quality logos, not just vinyl decals, but something similar to these, with my name, my logo, that I can put onto the car in a tasteful position or a tasteful way, as well as doing something maybe like in the headrest with my logo, either embossed or stitched, in a nice way that's not gaudy or big or anything. And some of the other interior stuff, like maybe doing the center portions of the seats in Alcantara, or doing some matched color stitching as well to the outside components, like if the brake calipers are orange, you could do some orange stitching on the steering wheel and in the shift boot, stuff like that. That I haven't really done too much interior stuff before. So, and the other, kind of, I don't want to drag the video on, but let's talk about the used car market real quick and the directions of where these cars are heading in the future. And if you take a look at the used car market right now, it's kind of volatile. I mean, it's really upside down, and the media leads you to believe it's because of a new car shortage, which is causing the used car prices to go up. And that may be true in 85% of cars, like if you're buying a new Honda Civic or a new Toyota RAV4, a new kind of daily driver car. But there is a shortage of those cars. If you look on dealer lots when you're out driving around, you can see that they don't have as many cars on the lot as they did 6 to 12 months ago. But the same, the person that's cross-shopping, an AMG GTR or a C63 or a new SLC, something like that, isn't going to be also looking to buy 2004 SL55. So I'm not sure why the prices on these cars got jacked up as well all of a sudden, because there's no new SL55s being made, and it just seemed like as of recently these cars shot up 25 to 50% in price. And I'm not just sure if that's from people, the compounding effect of other used cars. They think that they can throw that tax onto these as well. And I'm hoping that dies off, going into the next 6 to 12 weeks as the used car prices come back down. But when you think about it, is it because the government is pushing the electric cars so hard in making all of the car manufacturers comply with these new regulations, saying, we're going to have a completely electric portfolio by 2025, and the ICE engine, the internal combustion engine, is going away, and that is unfortunate. It makes me sad to think about and talk about. Is that why these are going up in value as well? If you take a look at the new C63 that's going to be coming out here shortly, it's actually going to be a 4-cylinder hybrid, which is wild to think about how they started off with the C63, and it was a crazy 6.2 liter 500 horsepower naturally aspirated engine that sounded wild from the factory, had one of the best exhaust notes straight out the gate of any car at any price. And now we're talking about, now they're going back down to a 4-cylinder hybrid. What is that going to sound like? I haven't heard too many 4-cylinders that sound great. As a matter of fact, I can't think of any that I would be excited to own. The power may be there, and you may say it's better in every way technically, It's faster to 60. It does a quarter mile and an extra, it shaves 3/10 of a quarter mile off the time of a, a naturally aspirated car or forced induction car. But the sound and the vibrations and the theatrics that go along with a big motor car or a supercharged car, that's what gets me excited. That's what gets me going. That's why I put the exciting exhaust on these cars, tune them to be exciting with the throttle response. That's what makes me have fun in a car like this, especially a convertible. When you put that top down and you hear that V8 singing, it's a different experience. And that's probably the second half of, I think, why these cars are kind of going up, because these big motor cars just are disappearing. They're not going to be made anymore. And I'll say it again, that makes my heart sad to think about and hear about that. I knew this was going to happen at some point in time. Maybe I was just thinking it was going to be, they're 20, 30 years down the road. As we all know, electric cars are probably better, and 85% of the way, but they still don't have the charging grid rolled out. The people that, once these cars start getting into more hands of the consumers, they become more popular, the electric cars. Can you imagine waiting in a charging station, the guy in front of you to charge his car for 30 minutes, and you got 7 other people waiting there? You'll be there for a few hours waiting to charge your car. You have to plan out your road trips ahead of time, to make sure there's charging stations along the way. And I won't be a full believer in the electric car revolution until they create a battery cell that can charge within 3 minutes and give me 500 miles of range. Then I'll be a believer. But I'm kind of rambling on a different tangent here, but I'm going to finish this video up. If you're interested in either building this car into a 600 wheel horsepower monster, being a part of the design of all the customizations and all the alike for that, or if you just want this car as is but restored back to showroom condition mechanically and cosmetically, I'd love to do either one of those options. Feel free to reach out to me at fisherfast@hotmail.com. You can find me on Instagram at Fisherfast, or reply to in the comments down below, and we can get you a plan going on this beautiful white SL55. I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.